Welcome to the Prime Real Estate Network channel on YouTube. I'm your host, Mr. Prime Real Estate, Ric Davis.
And I'm your host, the Texas Real Estate King, LarryWBrooks.
Every week, the King and I will provide you exclusive access to our network of lenders, investors, and real estate professionals from both the commercial and residential real estate sectors.
Now, are you millionaire minded? Or maybe you're a millionaire in the making. Make sure that you subscribe so you can get connected to the network. And always remember, the Prime Real Estate Network, where millionaires are in the making.
Create wealth for generations.
What's up, Prime Real Estate Network listeners? It's your man, LarryWBrooks, a.k.a. the Texas Real Estate King. Hey, when you get a moment, go ahead and go over to shoplwb.com. You can see the Pure Hustle merchandise that we had over there, some of our newer items that we have in stock, and of course, I got all the books that I've authored. I'd love for your support. You have a great day.
Good day and welcome to the Prime Real Estate Network Live. I'm your host, Ric Davis. If you don't follow me on social media, I invite you to do so at Prime Real Estate Ric. If you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in residential or commercial real estate anywhere in the great state of Texas, but especially here in our lovely city of Houston, you can reach me directly on Instagram at Prime Real Estate Ric. As always, it's an honor and a pleasure to be here with you this week. And I want to thank everyone that's checking out us live on YouTube and Facebook. I want to invite you all to get involved in today's show. Leave myself, the Texas Real Estate King, or this week's guest a relevant question in the comments section, and we may very well get to answer your question on today's show. And it's a great day here to be in the city of Houston. It's a great day to be alive. I want to take some time to introduce my co-host. He is not only a highly successful real estate broker, he's a multi-time author, serial entrepreneur, the proud proprietor of the Pure Hustle clothing brand. I want to thank him so much for sitting in on the Prime Real Estate Network Live this Thursday, just like he does every week. And I'd like to introduce to the audience, the Texas Real Estate King, Mr. Larry W. Brooks. How are you?
What up, Rick? Man, I'm doing amazing. No complaints at all. Just enjoying the beautiful days that we're having as our fall season here in Houston, Texas.
Now, look, now you brought up the weather, for those in the audience who may not necessarily have the luxury of residing here in the city of Houston.
Yeah.
We are enjoying high 60, low 70 degree temps and sunny skies today, man.
Correct.
So what does this type of weather do for your mood, considering that we are a little bit more than a week away from Christmas?
Here's the thing. I'm probably the wrong person to talk to about Christmas. I'm not really I'm not a Christmas person. At the end of the day, the only thing that I appreciate from the holidays is probably just a little downtime, not feeling obligated to have to do anything, because usually everyone adjusts to understand holidays is the one day you should probably leave people alone on any level. So I think that as I've gotten more seasoned in this entrepreneur/small business ownership, I think those are the things that I appreciate when it comes to that.
One of the cool things I appreciate about the holiday season is because of, regardless of what you think about your friends, family, or people in your close circle, as far as like decorating and designing their houses, it seems like most of the people always go all out for the holidays. So as you visit your friends, your family, you stop by, everybody has their decorations, has their Christmas trees and all that stuff out, and it just almost transforms their home from what you may be used to when you visit them in the past. So that's one of the cool things about the holiday season.
Tell me, how is it? Because you have youngins, right. So with the youngins, like, how's the energy? Is it still the belief in Santa? Do you still say cookies out? Like, how does that play out? Like nowadays, I'm just kind of curious.
Okay, no, serious.
Especially with social media being such a disruptor when it comes to certain old beliefs and old mindsets and mind things we used to play with kids. How does that work now?
Okay, I'm gonna tell you, I'm glad you asked, because you're right about social media. It's so many people who want to expose and show and enlighten everybody about everything. But on the other hand, something that's cool is that there are a lot of new trends that start on social media. So there's a lot of things that the kids enjoy that we didn't have the opportunity to enjoy when we were youngsters.
Okay.
So now there's a thing around the Christmas season where you may have your own magical elf.
Okay.
Who appears at your home every day in different areas, and he may leave small treats or a small kind note for the kids every morning. So that's kind of cool. And you know, with my kids, I got to have a Christmas tree for each one. So I got 2 Christmas trees because everybody want to have their own Christmas tree. Now, cool part is they love it so much that they decorated themselves. So it's not really a hands-on thing. But yeah, I know it's been a minute since you had the real shorties running around the house, man. But during this holiday season, man, between school, TV, and the internet, holidays is a big deal around this house, man. It's a big deal.
That's good, man. That's good. That's what's up, man. I like to hear that. It's funny. I was for Thanksgiving because we hadn't had a chance to do a show since maybe early November. But Thanksgiving, I went out to Nebraska to hang out with Young L, and on the day that I got there, they had their very first snowstorm, and so we really got good 6 inches worth of snow. And mind you, I'm a down south guy, so shoveling the snow, shoveling the car out of the snow just to be able to drive it down the highway 10 miles per hour so that I'm getting to the airport without getting in a ditch, man, was crazy to me. And in my mind, I'm like, the people up north, I can't understand how that's something that you want to do. One of Larry's coaches said it to me best. He said, it's the equivalent of you living in Texas, cutting your grass before you leave to go to work, and then having to cut your grass to get back into your home or to be able to go back into your house.
That must say you got to cut your grass twice a day.
That's 2 times in one day, man. I'm like, listen. And so it was a running. We laughed about it, but it's been good since we last talked. I mean, he's had a visit here in Houston where he had a powerlifting competition, came in first place, man, really looked good, got all of his lifts in, put him in a situation where he qualified for nationals. So, you know, we just amped a lit or whatever the new term is for that. And you know, now he's back home. He's home for the winter break. I actually had the journey. I flew down, and then I had the journey of helping him drive back because he wanted his car. So he's like, car. So you know, we did that 12 to 14 hour drive back, man. It was an easy drive though, easy. You know, we had a chance to talk and just really, you know, shoot the shit, as I like to say.
You know, what's super cool about him coming home for the holiday is that, like, I know a lot of Southern dudes, especially from Texas, when they go up north for school, especially in those areas where it's snow and get real cold, they don't really know how to prepare until they in the mix. So y'all get my man a real coat, because I'm sure he went up there with a suspect coat or something that's too thin.
Number hoodies.
Little, I tell you, get my man a real coat. And most importantly, I remember this one, but
the real important thing is to make sure you get that cat some snow boots. Because it's one thing taking them ones and dropping that 6 foot of snow and then you raise up your whole foot soaking wet versus you having snow boots.
And I'm gonna tell you something that's funny, because I remember when my brother went up north for school, man, he was in Iowa. Texas boys always go up north, Larry, with nothing but ankle socks. So get my man some long socks, man. Hey, look, out down here, man, we don't have no reason to need no socks all the way up to the ankle or knee, man. So my man probably got a bunch of ankle socks and no socks. So give my man some socks and the coat and make sure he's straightened out when he get out here, man. So look, we know we was talking a little bit about Christmas decorations, designing, getting your space designed for the holiday, and that just leads me into ask you about this week's guest. You know, this week's guest is an expert in the interior design space. So before we introduce this week's guest, could you talk a little bit about how you were introduced, how you were able to gain her commitment, and why you're really excited for us to be able to interview her on today's show?
Yeah, man. You know, it's funny because you and I always talk about how, you know, some of the best relationships are built through acts of service. And so myself and today's guest met through a group that you've heard me talk about many, many times, which is the National Sales Network, and spent a lot of times in meetings at conferences and just really seeing each other's character. And so as she's ventured into this new business and growth in this new business, you know, I've always advocated that I wanted her to be a part of the platform because it's something that's needed. You know, we have buyers and sellers out here consistently trying to figure out what helps them sell their properties. And today, one of those things that I know for a fact is, you know, someone being able to have a vision of the property, what the furniture could look like in the property, you know, what the interior could look like in the property is something that's so major in today's market. And so this is ideal going into the holiday season when people are making decisions on what they're going to be doing when it comes to their monies and gifts, as well as what's going to happen right after the holiday season, because that's when our market takes off. And so it's just really exciting to have her on the show today, and just to be able to drop some gems, as well as to be able to just express how she can service a lot of the people that listen and take part in our show.
Thank you so much, Larry. Without any further ado, I'd like to introduce this week's guest. This dynamic woman is not only an entrepreneur, but she is an interior design expert specializing in commercial and residential real estate. I want to thank her so much for sitting in on the Prime Real Estate Network Live. And I'd like to introduce Ms. Lauren R. Jones. How are you?
Hi, guys. I'm doing well. How are you?
Thank you so much, Lauren. Oh, my goodness gracious. Your energy is permeating through the screen. Thank you so much for sitting in with us.
And loving these Christmas colors. We got the red popping with the green. Come on now.
You know, I had to dress for the occasion, gentlemen.
Now, Ms. Jones, without putting you entirely too much on the spot, we have to ask you about the fine top that you're wearing. It almost leads me to believe like you dressed as the Christmas gift. It's something about the ruffles around the neck. So before we even get into the interview, is there any backstory? What made you choose that top? Where did you get it? Or can you not disclose that information?
I don't mind. Thank you for being so observant. It is the holiday season. This is actually one of my favorite tops. It draws all the way up to the glasses, just to show my style, classic with a little jazz, a little pizzazz.
Yeah.
So that's what made me choose it.
So now I have to ask you, because of your chosen profession and your expertise as far as design, have you, from the time you remember yourself as a young lady, have you always been a fashionista? Have you always been an artist and a creative from that standpoint?
To be honest, yes. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, ma'am. So for those who are meeting you for the first time, could you just introduce yourself, talk a little bit about your company and your why as far as interior design?
Okay. So for those who have never met me, my name is Lauren Jones, originally hailing from Louisiana, but am a resident of Houston, Texas.
Represent.
Interior Design by Elle Rose was actually birthed out of a in-between space, being in pharmaceutical sales for 9 years and just having to pivot, right? So it was born out of being a natural creative. As a child, I used to create holiday cards. I danced. I always loved the arts. It was always a release for me. So that is why the business was birthed. That was my why. I purchased my home about 4 years ago, and during COVID, and a friend of mine was like, hey, why don't you do this? And I was like, do what? And they're like, your house is amazing. Why don't you look at going into interior design? So I called my friends. I said, hey, y'all, who has a room that they want to have redone? I'm building my portfolio. And after that, it was referral after referral after referral. And one thing about me and my tagline is that your home should speak to you and for you at the same time. Wow. Somebody should be able to walk into your house without you being there and know your vibe, know what's important to you. So for me, I don't take it for granted when clients allow me to come into their personal space, because it's a sacred space. It's where you lay your head, and be able to transform their space to where I'm making their house feel like a home. Yeah. So,
wow.
You know, I appreciate you sharing that, because when you were backstage, Larry mentioned how important being able to tell that story is.
Correct.
When it comes to people viewing properties, even if it's for listing or it's something for sale or it's an open house.
Correct.
So could you talk about some of the services that you provide as far as residential properties, interior design, and some of the value that your services provide to people like Larry and myself that's trying to get these homes sold?
So, yes, we are.
That is very important, gentlemen. So on top of the interior design space, I also offer occupied staging for realtors. And what that looks like is, if you have a client that has furniture in the home that they are thinking of selling or getting rid of, or they're not ready to move it into their new home, what we go in and do is we actually take that and then we sprinkle a little Elle Rose dust on top of that. And we make the home presentable for, when you're doing your showings, right? People want to come into a home that is organized, that looks lived in, that's cozy. So what that does is it'll also help you guys increase, getting their name on the dotted line and closing for that home. And then on top of that, commercial side as well, I have 2 commercial properties under my belt. And that's very important as well, because you want your clients or your potential clients to walk into a space where they feel valued and then where they want to have an experience.
That's right.
And Larry can speak to this a lot, because on our side of the desk, Ms. Jones, we talk to a lot of our sellers, those who want to sell properties.
Mm-hmm.
We talk to them about decluttering. We talk to them about straightening up and cleaning up. And since they don't necessarily have your professional eye,
Mm-hmm.
they don't necessarily always understand what gives a potential buyer those warm and fuzzies.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go in and you look at a space,
Mm-hmm.
what are some of the first questions that a seller may ask you? Do they ask you more about, am I clean? Is it cleaned up enough? Is there something I need to take out? So what kind of questions do you get upon your first visit to a property?
That is one of the first questions I get, is the decluttering question.
Yeah, the decluttering is important.
You live in a house for a while and you open the closet door and you're like, golly, that's a lot of stuff, right? Or how did I accumulate all of this? So it is, and it's homework that I usually give. And I'm like, okay, you guys, so listen, this is kind of what I need you to get rid of. This is kind of why we need to, because like I said, when you're selling a home, it is very important for clients to visualize themselves in that space. So that's why it's important to do the decluttering piece. I have them ask, okay, should I take down family pictures? And typically,
what are your thoughts on that? That's pretty good. Because I always wonder, right? Because we have all these things that have taken place over the years about this photo and that photo, the appraisal and all this other little stuff. Like, what are your thoughts on that? That's a very good leading. I like the way you led into that. What's your thoughts on that?
So I'm on the fence a little bit, to be honest with you, because you don't know who's going to buy your house.
Yeah.
Right? There could still be little things left behind that will give a nod to who you are as a person who's actually currently occupying this space. But you also want to be protective of your nucleus, right? So you might not always want to have family pictures up that have kids.
Yeah.
Or, you may just want to leave a husband and a wife, because you may have a husband and a wife that's buying the house. So they want to be able to see themselves in that space.
Right.
But for me, I kind of draw the line at kiddos.
Yeah.
Because of the simple fact of, like I said, you don't know who's purchasing the home.
Yeah.
When it comes to artwork, that's another thing as well. I'm like,
everyone's artwork and vision is different. Everybody don't have Picasso. I mean,
you want to make sure that the artwork is neutral, right? But like I said, there's still some things that you can leave as a nod, because I've had, sellers that have a family heirloom that they don't want to take off a wall because it's something that's personal to them.
Yeah.
So if it's personal to them and they don't mind sharing it, keep it up. Again, because you don't know who your buyer is going to be. That may be the heartstring that pulls on that buyer to say, this is my house.
Yeah.
So that's why I say I'm kind of on the fence. It really depends on, where you're selling, who you're selling to, when it comes to things like that.
Lauren, thank you so much for being so transparent and illustrating the value of those services for the members of our audience, because one of the things that, and this is a real estate thing that Larry and I talk about with the members of our brokerage a lot, is that in today's climate, you always have to illustrate your value for potential clients.
Yeah.
Having someone like yourself as a member of a realtor's power team shows how you're going above and beyond to not only get the property sold, but to help the seller maximize the value and maximize their take home.
Yes.
Because the things that you're talking about would not only let a potential buyer fall in love with the property, but will make them less likely to want to negotiate the price.
Correct.
So from that standpoint, I want to urge every agent, every realtor, every real estate professional that hears this interview to reach out to Ms. Jones directly. Talk about collaboration, talk about partnership, because having someone like this lady as a member of your power team shows those high-end clients and even those clients that are selling their first property that you're not only the professional to get it sold, but that's going to actually do everything you can to put more money in their pocket. So I want to thank you so much for the things that you do. I wanted to ask you a question about some of the services you provide in the commercial sector. There's members of our audience who are realtors that work with people who may own beauty salons, barber shops, other point of sale, brick and mortar commercial buildings. What type of interior design services do you provide? And what type of things have you helped people add that helps put more money in their pocket and make their businesses flourish?
Okay, thank you for that. And I mentioned it earlier, making sure that your clients are having an experience when they walk in, right?
That's right.
Same thing with your residential. Commercial should be the same thing. It should speak to you and for you at the same time, right? So one thing that I've actually done in the local pharmacy here in Houston was, you know, the owner, she wanted a glam experience. She wanted a place where it didn't look like your typical pharmacy, but it spoke to the services that she offered, the personalized services that she offered to her clients, right? So we glammed it out. You know, we made it more modern. We made it more welcoming to her clients. So that's one thing that's very important when it comes to commercial, especially if you are at a certain price point. You want to make sure your clients understand where their money is going, from the scent of the room to the aesthetic of the room to the feel of the room, the music that you're playing. All of those things are very important when you want to create an experience for a commercial client.
Yeah, you know, I always appreciate an expert eye. And one of the things I know that you and I have spoken about in the past is, or that I've spoken on this platform about in the past, is just not, you know, being a part of a community that does what you do. Like us as realtors, we have all of these associations and organizations that we're a part of, that we go and we're able to exchange ideas. So I may be in New Orleans, meet a New Orleans broker, that I'm able to take some of the seeds and some of the language that they have and use it in Texas in order to help my clients grow, help my agents grow their business. And so what are some of the organizations that you take pride in being a part of that, you know, you guys kind of exchange your ideas? Because one thing about the industry that you're in is I feel like style and, you know, what people find is contemporary changes quite seasonal. It's seasonal. So how do you, or what organizations are you a part of that you enjoy, that you're able to exchange great ideas like that with?
I'm happy that you asked. So there is an organization here in Houston, primarily for African-American interior designers. That's one. And then also I went to a conference earlier this year. It's called the CASE Conference.
Yeah.
And it was created by an interior designer in Atlanta. And when I tell you, building that community was very important. You had 128 interior designers in one room, from beginners, to those that have been in the game, that have been on HGTV, that have been in Architectural Digest. And it was a round table, almost a round table discussion of being able to support each other with programming, with, you know, social media, all the way down to taxes and trademarking. So it's very, very important that you build community in this space, because as creatives, everybody won't understand, especially if you are creative and you're corporate at the same time, right?
Yeah.
So one thing I would definitely say, those are two organizations that I highly recommend. Houston has several other interior design organizations that I would recommend. Interior designers that are looking to be up and coming, join. It is so, I cannot stress how imperative it is to be able to find a community to where there's transparency, there's no competition, and that you all are trying to iron sharpens iron situation, right? You can't do this alone. You have to build community. So the CASE conference, I will be returning again next year. The creator, Jamila, is a gem, and she is all about pouring into interior designers and making sure that they have a space to call home to elevate their business and their client experience.
Even more amazing. See, that's why another reason I pointed that out is because professionals put money back into their business by visiting and going to conferences, being a part of organizations that continue to help their minds spark great vision. You don't just come up with these things overnight. So that was another reason I like to do business with people that don't just feel like they winging it. They're out here actually gaining the knowledge, putting their skin in it, putting skin in the game. And so I just wanted to point that out, that you are one of those ones that believe in putting back into your business in order to grow, so that you're not just wishfully thinking when you're helping someone out. These are professional steps that not only you are doing, but you have a team of people behind you that does it as well. So that's great.
Yeah.
You know, the great thing about the story that you just illustrated for the audience is that it shows that you have a tribe professionally.
Yes.
That empowers, uplifts, motivates, and inspires you right now today.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about your upbringing as a young lady.
Mm-hmm.
Were there members of your family that were business owners, entrepreneurs, that may have been a catalyst or an inspiration for you from that standpoint? What motivated a young Lauren to walk down the path that you're on now?
My grandfather. My grandfather had several businesses in Lake Charles, Louisiana. More so known for his barbershop that the family just reopened. And it's actually serving the community in Lake Charles. So seeing him be an entrepreneur in that space, it was actually a barbershop and a hair salon.
Yeah.
So you have the barber side and then you have the salon side.
Yeah.
So literally going there, visiting during the summer, typically being raised in the barbershop, was something that was very, very important. I have some other members of my family that are entrepreneurs. My brother was an entrepreneur for a while, and it was his passion. It was something that he loved, and little did he know he was, motivating me to take that leap of faith again, as well, because he believed in himself, right? Yeah. So those were things, or those people that I saw that kind of made this leap, although scary, a little easier to make, because I saw them be successful in that realm. But like I said, I've always been a creative. I was that kid, like I said, that would make Christmas cards out of card paper, construction paper. I'm sorry, construction paper. Instead of buying a card, I would find a theme. There was one card I made. It was like when McDonald's had the 55-cent special or 55-cent hamburger or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Somebody in the family was turning 55, so that was the thing for the card, right? And like I said, for me, I've just always been that person. If I feel like I can see it, then I can make it. If I can just kind of rip it apart and put it back together. And then, like I said, art was always something that I completely loved as well. The arts in general. So, yeah.
Wow.
I'm going to deviate a little bit from the plan, not too much. So, but I also, because this conversation has just been so uplifting, and I'm sure the members of our audience is taking so much from it. So first things first, I want to make sure we take care of business.
Right.
For those that want to meet you, consult with you, hire you, could you please share all your contact information and social media first, Ms. Jones?
Yes. So you can follow my website. It's designedbylrose.com. Instagram, Designed by L Rose. TikTok, Designed by L Rose HTX.
Yes.
Those are all of my social media platforms. And same thing with Facebook. Interior Design by L Rose. You can find me there. You can click the link. We can schedule a discovery call, 15 to 30 minutes, just for us to have a conversation. And then we would move into the consultation if we find that we're a good fit for each other.
And this is where we deviate from the script, because one of the things Larry and I joke about every week is that we host our show on the busiest day of the week for business owners, which is Thursday afternoons. So thank you so much, first and foremost, Ms. Jones, for making some time to sit in with us. And our final question for you this week will be this, because you mentioned earlier in your story that you were first complimented on the style of your own personal home before you decided to take on this venture professionally. Mm-hmm. So for the members of our audience that may not be professional interior designers right now, but get a lot of those same compliments, but may not necessarily have the ambition or that motivation or that push from somebody close to them to jump out on faith, do you have any parting words or any words of inspiration that might have helped motivate you to not just look at this as a talent, but look at this as something that I could build a long-lasting business from?
Great question.
Thank you. That's a great question. And I use this analogy because this is literally how I feel. Started the business, And I was just kind of getting this push. I was talking to God about it, right?
Yeah.
And he was just telling me, okay, jump out. And I was like, Lord, I got a mortgage.
Yeah.
I'm a single woman.
The mortgage.
Who gonna pay these bills, right? So I didn't listen. Should have listened. And a few years later, I was laid off from pharmaceutical sales, which is not natural. It happens often. And I felt like it was when I was jumping out of a plane when I turned 35 on my 35th birthday. Some years ago, I jumped out of a plane. And the same fear that I had doing that was the same thing that I had in making this leap. But when you jump out of a plane, you jump in tandem. When I took this leap, I wasn't making this leap on my own. God was attached.
Tandem. There we go.
Tandem. We made this jump. It wasn't just me.
That's right.
And in the moments, and I've had several, where I'm kind of like, okay, what am I doing? You pull that ripcord and you allow him to guide you.
Wow.
At the end of the day, he's always going to have your back. He's always going to make ways. He's always going to create opportunities. So if there's anybody that just has something in their gut or it's a passion, pray about it. And even if that leap don't make no sense, take the leap and he will provide. Period. That's it.
No doubt about it. Hands down. Yeah.
No, I want to thank you so much for your transparency and your candor. I mean, I'm sure there's so many members of our audience that are taking different gems from this conversation. And I want to urge everybody to implement those tidbits that you might have taken from this interview, add it to your utility belt and make yourself a better professional and a better person. I want to thank you so much, Queen, for sitting in with us. Like Larry and I both know, Thursdays can be Thursdays. So I appreciate you so much. You always have a seat with Larry and myself. Please keep us up to date with everything that you have going on designed by L. Rose. You always have advocates with Larry and myself. So thank you so much, Queen, for sitting in with us.
Thank you guys for having me. And you guys keep doing what you're doing because it is making an impact. So when you guys don't understand and you don't feel like getting online, you know that what you're doing is making an impact. So thank you guys for having me, and I definitely appreciate it.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Lauren. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Well, come on, Larry. How can you not have a smile on your face after that interview, man? It's just so much light and positivity that Ms. Lauren brought to that interview, man. I'm just so glad.
I love a closing statement, man. Like, you know, this even when you don't feel like it, you know, you step into that thing and you do it. And we've been doing this many years, but even we need to hear that from time to time, man. So I appreciate that closing statement.
Oh, no, and then when she talked about stepping out on faith and doing it in tandem and not being alone, I think that's something that resonates with everybody in our audience, man. So please heed the advice of Mr. Brooks, heed the advice of Ms. Jones, man. Follow her. Designed by L. Rose and all the social media platforms. Look, man, you know how we do, man. Even though it's the holiday season and we all looking to kick back and recharge that battery, I gotta ask, what you got going this weekend in the world of the Texas Real Estate King? Will you be out and about making things happen? Any appearances, anything like that, bro?
You know, man, I've just been attempting to make a few rounds to some Christmas holiday events. So I'll probably just continue to do that. You know, it's that season where, you know, you may see people once a year and it's doing this particular time. So I'll just kind of continue to lay low and do stuff like that.
Well, look, man, I can't be mad at you. Sometimes it's best to stay out the way.
Look,
everybody in the audience, man, it was an honor and a pleasure to bring this week's show to you all. We ask, like, subscribe, share. It helps us in the algorithm. Leave comments. For everybody that's checking us out live here on the Prime Real Estate Network, until next Thursday in the noon hour, we please urge and ask everyone to be safe and be blessed.